That's fair.
I
guess. I mean, fine.
Daddy, what are you watching? Pause. Nothing you can watch.
I feel that all too real.
Is it just because it's scary or because it's too adult?
Kind of like a combination of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're live. Holla hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're live. Holla hey. Sound is good. Ooh.
I feel my temperature rising.
So I feel like this kind of gives us a chance, Lazz, right? Because after we finished the last one, I know we both were like, man, because it was our first one, So like, I know we were both like, man, I wish we'd done this instead of that. Now we have the chance to do that.
That's right. Exactly.
Like all your opinions, we can redo all of those.
It's as if they never happened. It's great.
Thank God.
Just don't talk about Dick Tracy. He'll edit you out of the whole show.
Listen here, you little fuckwipe. Did you rewatch it yet, Russ?
No. So I'm gonna watch Critical Role, and then. So have you ever seen the show called 60 Days In?
No.
So it's a show about these people. They're innocent of any crimes and everything, and they go. They like volunteer to go to jail for 60 days, but they go undercover, so nobody else knows that they're not criminals. So they go to like help the COs and everything to be able to identify problems and issues in the jail.
Yeah.
And so it's really addicting because you watch these people and then it's like an inside look at what jail is like. And it's very interesting and kind of addicting to watch. So there's 6 seasons of it, so I've been hooked on that lately. But I'll go back and watch Dick Tracy probably this weekend. Once I finish Critical Role, this episode of Critical Role, I'll probably go back and watch Dick Tracy.
Thanks, buddy. We should watch it together.
Okay. You want to do like I'm fine with that.
Watch party, yeah. Yeah.
Just remember to answer his text messages so he doesn't disown you.
I answer your text messages.
You what, Russ?
I answer all your text messages.
That's true. That's well, because you're not one of my nieces, so
I don't answer your Discord messages.
That is true.
That's a very big difference.
I think we're good. There we go. That should fix that problem. Last, I gotta move your name down. I'm trying to line things up better. There we go. There we go. I think that works. That's half. It doesn't look at it. It's still weird to me, but it doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm doing this. I figure we can just do the same ad read that we did last time, Lazz, because it technically doesn't exist.
Right, that's true. Nobody knows except for anybody who was there live, and chances are they forgot what it was anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we can just do the same one.
Hey, Lazz, you're echoey on my end.
Yeah.
Are you getting that, Fud?
Keep talking, Lazz.
Am I a little echoey on my end?
Not anymore.
Oh.
I think it's just when you lean back, the acoustics in the room. It's normal Lazz stuff. He's gone. He's gone.
I love these backgrounds. This is great.
It's so fun, dude. Hey, Will, how are you, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Maybe I'll put one on.
Beautiful.
Which one do
all just difference is you guys actually have like awesome stuff in your backgrounds. I have a void, blank wall behind me. So
okay, then I won't do anything. I won't do anything then.
Oh,
I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. All right, let me get my info for the book up, and then I think we're good to go.
Man, I've read the book. I've read it twice. It's been a minute though.
That's right. You just need the main point. One of the things I want to do, Lazz, is we said we weren't going to go through the whole story, and then we accidentally
We
went through
quasi
the whole
did,
story. Yeah.
We can avoid that this time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We absolutely can. All right. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, Lazz.
Ready to go.
All right. Alrighty then.
Right.
Indeed.
Did you send me the ad read?
Oh, Lazz has got it because he wrote it.
Oh, Lazz reading. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Makes it easy for you.
Hey, I'm just here for the show. That's all.
Yeah, we can just sit back, relax, let him do his thing.
That I totally haven't done yet.
Yep. First time.
Right. Good for me whenever.
And engage.
All right.
Laser, set to stop.
It's endgame, baby. The last gate is in Castle Anorak, and your party is ready to take on the Sucksers and achieve total victory. You double check your gear just to be safe, and let out an audibly painful gasp. You forgot to equip your he-shirt, she-shirt, chainmail, t-shirt artifact that makes you invincible to cat meows from Bees channel, damn you bees. How will you ever survive the Orb of Osavox and the Cataclysm to reach the egg at the end of You Can't Survive So Motherfucking Kittens? Oh my god, I forgot I wrote that again.
You did that the first time, yeah.
Have no fear, Oasis users, because HeShirtSheShirt.com can provide you with the sort of custom gear that only the most badass of adventurers would dare to wear in the face of imminent danger. And because it's the Oasis, any order you make will instantly be added to your avatar's inventory for immediate use in the challenges to come. Real world delivery would be much slower than instant. Don't get your panties in a bunch. Talk to the mail guy here in the chat. So open up your browser and hand swipe over to HeShirtSheShirt.com and place an order now for some awesome gear with phrases such as "going outside is highly overrated," "you could shove it up your ass and pretend you're a corn dog," or even "virtual sex, no matter how realistic, was really nothing but glorified computer-assisted masturbation." The possibilities are endless, and don't forget to save yourself 10% by inputting the code JSGcast. What gunter wouldn't want to save 10% to keep some credits in their Oasis account while also supporting the very best podcast in Sector 9? Madness! With that task complete, reset your visors, place them back over your faces, and watch the words "Please enjoy this episode of Just Some Guardians" appear on your HUD.
Damn, that was a really good reading of the first time of reading this, Lazz.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's different when I read them because I sometimes forget what I write.
Uh-huh.
And then get
I sometimes forget what you write too.
Yeah.
That makes
Russ forgets how to read halfway through most of the time.
This is accurate.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to our definitely first time of recording of this episode, it being episode 110 of Just Some Guardians. We are currently live, twitch.tv/JustSomeGuardians, Friday nights at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Come hang out, especially for these book clubs. We know y'all like some of these. We know y'all read them. Get in the chat. Throw your Outlooks in there, your Firefoxes, oh wait, I'm talking about browsers now. Whoops. And yeah, just become a part of it. It's always a good time. So, that's true. Yeah, it's actually a really good review. Actually, I saw a review for us the other day, Russell.
Oh geez.
And it said,
Is it from Egypt?
No, all the ones from Egypt are like best podcast ever. Yeah, let's go. And then they just hand-drawn dabs.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Have you guys gotten any reviews where it's been like that, where it's like awesome hand dabs and they give you 1 star and you're like, you're sending me mixed messages here. What do you actually?
We've definitely had one of those before. Yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed it. 1 star. What?
Damn it.
Hold on. This doesn't make any sense. I assume they're going to 5 stars and sneezed,
Well,
also, I haven't checked reviews in I haven't checked reviews in a year, Russell. So who knows?
I am worried to check
Yeah.
reviews.
Yeah, I am as well. But hey, go ahead, review us. We'll never know. Huh? What do you think of that? Thank you very much. Yeah. So I'm ELMMERFUDD. Hi, folks. How are you? Great to see you and for you to hear me, I guess. That sounded real conceited. Joining me, I think this is working again tonight. We have the effervescent Russell. Oh yeah. How'd that feel, brother?
I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna do halfway through and wasn't sure. I was very undecided. I'm sure that was a hot mess, but you know what? I did my best.
You looked excited, and that's the main thing, especially for an audio format.
Hey.
Yeah.
You know, I do what I gotta.
That's true. Hey, what are you playing tonight?
Nothing.
I don't believe you.
I'm not. What? I was playing a quick game of Magic the Arena while we were
Oh yeah, hell yeah, dude. How's that going? I've heard mixed things about it.
I mean, Magic Arena's. I mean, it's like playing Magic. I wish they had like a Commander mode.
Oh yeah,
because I mostly play Commander, so I wish. I also wish that there was the ability to be able to like the cards that you already have, like if there was a barcode or something like that, cards that you've purchased physically, but it doesn't make much sense. I mean, this is another way for them to make money. So I wish the cards that I had spent lots of money on physically were also available to me in a digital format. But I mean, I get why they're not from a business standpoint, so I'm not too offended by it.
I'm absolutely outraged by it, Russ.
Well, I'm glad somebody is.
I'm going to Steam and I'm going to leave them a scathing review.
I know you will.
I'm doing it right now. Click, click, clickety, clack, clack, clickety, clack, clack, clack.
I just got an email from whoever made them. In 5 stars.
Yeah. I'm getting real mixed signals, but in the correct way. It doesn't matter. It's all good as long as there's 5 stars. That reminds me, I have a I'm not going to read it on the podcast here, but saved to my phone for such an occasion. It's very fun to look up Google reviews of the post office I work at. As you can imagine, always a good time. So I can read them and go, I know who did that. I know who that was, or like who they're complaining about. Really? I can just tell like who I work with, you know? But one of my managers, someone left the greatest negative review of them I have ever read in my life. Oh, God. And it was so spot on. So I have it saved to my phone. So when he retires, I can get that printed out, framed, and then give it to him. I think he'd enjoy that. So, yeah.
I think I would enjoy that.
I would love that so much. It is, I mean, just rips him to shreds in this review. But I know he's the kind of guy that just wouldn't care and he'd find it hilarious.
Was it, I mean, like, you would have to, like, complain to talk to a manager, right? I mean, it's not like the manager just, like, picks up the phone and is like, hey, what's your issue?
Well, that's exactly what happens.
Oh, okay.
If you call your local office, that is, you know, they don't have, like, a specified person to answer phones. It's just...
Well, no, I mean, I knew it was pretty much anybody, but I thought, you know, managers are usually doing other things, so I figured, you know.
No, they usually answer the phone, so... Yeah, he happened to... This is actually before he was the station manager. He was just like a regular supervisor.
Okay.
And was answering the phones all the time, and he was really bad at answering phones. I use bad in the like just really demeaning to everyone that called, and it was hilarious to listen to, but really terrible from a business standpoint. But so now that he's a manager, you know, he never answers the phone, so it's okay. But yeah, it's really funny. Cool. That was really good audio feedback from both of you guys. That
I don't know what else to say. Like, I do like when you have
yes, and like you know, like, you're right.
Whatever.
Great story, Fudd. Your existent makes my nipples hard. Like any of those would have fit perfectly there.
Those are implied.
I got very distracted by Ready Player One. I'm excited to talk about it.
Ooh. So am I. Do you know who else is excited to talk about that? Russell?
Just you and me. There's nobody else here.
Yep, there he goes, disappearing into the green. It's just his nostril.
Too close to the desk. It doesn't work.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the nostril, both left and right, of LAZZRICH the Lich. How are you, brother?
I am doing very well in my Cyber City background here, phasing in and out of existence.
Yeah, Laz has discovered the backgrounds they've added to Discord calls now, and he is just gleeful. He's like a small child who's discovered a new candy.
I mean, it's like watching my supervisors at work who are about 20 years older than I am discover them on Zoom and go, "Look, guys, I'm at the beach." Like, can we just get to the point of why we're sitting on the Zoom call now? Thanks. Okay, great.
So I started a new job this week, and I have been in virtual meetings all day, every day.
Oh yeah,
And I am so tired of that. I'm so tired of virtual meetings. I'm just like, you know what? At this point, I don't need to know any more about the software. Just toss me in there, because if I have to sit through another virtual meeting, I think I'm going to cry.
oh man. But hey, remember, pay increase. You're getting paid for it.
Yeah,
Shoot,
there you go.
Yeah,
But
no,
dude, I don't know
and
how you do it. Honestly, like meetings alone, no thank you. But like, oh, cyber meetings, I could never do that, man. You're a strong soul.
it's actually it's better than having like the meeting in person,
Oh yeah,
because
no, for sure.
because I can turn off the camera and
Yeah,
like
open
go and
tab.
use the bathroom,
Uh-huh.
or like go into the other room and play with the dog or the kitten, or whatever. So like it's way better than an in-person meeting, but I am trying to pay attention, so I don't do that very often.
Yeah.
Also, if I get too bored, I can just start sketching and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm paying attention, but at least
totally
I
here.
have something. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still paying attention, but it's like I can do something that I'm not getting too bored.
Yeah. And then
It-
you're in lab, right, Laz?
Yeah, so when I take my Zoom calls, I'm in like the cubicle section of the building away from the actual like lab sections, and you'd be amazed by the number of people that will walk up to talk about non-work things while you've got a Zoom meeting on your screen, you've got headphones on, and they're just like, "So I saw this really awesome thing this week," and I'm like, "That's great. That's great. You see how I'm unmuted there, right? Look at that. I'm unmuted. Yeah, they just heard that. They're wondering what's going on.
I'm
What are you
literally in a
doing?"
meeting right now. Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah. That was an interesting thing you brought up earlier. No one respects headphones.
Nope.
That became a common thing, and then all of a sudden, everyone forgot about it. If you see someone wearing headphones, leave them alone.
People don't respect movie theaters anymore either.
That's true
Well.
too.
Yeah, no kidding.
The last few times I've been, I have nearly had to punch somebody. Did I tell this story already?
I don't think so. No. Let's hear this. What's going on in theaters?
Okay.
It makes you want to punch.
So I went to go see the Eternals
Yeah,
in
Texas.
the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had actually driven down to Bernie because we have a movie theater right next to our house, but it kind of sucks. So I was like, you know what? I really want to see this movie. I'm going to go down to the nicer theater that's like 40 minutes away. So I drive all the way down there. I'm excited to see the movie. There's this group of, there had to be like 5 girls. And they're like 13. I think they were like somewhere between 14 and 15,
Yeah.
So they sit down and they're in the same row as me. And the previews start up. And they are just yammering. And not like they're being obnoxious. It's not just like, oh, they're chatting, they're talking. They're being very loud and very obnoxious.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking during the previews, whatever, don't be super loud. But they're just being loud, they're being obnoxious, they're like yelling. Like just random stuff. So I lean over and I'm like, hey, you guys are being really loud. And that's all I said. Hey, you guys are being really loud. So they
went, okay, boomer.
Well, yeah, they were like, she kind of was like, hey, and then she turned over to her friends and was like, hey, we probably need to be quiet. This guy asked us.
You did the right thing. Yeah, most people would. Other people, I've seen people stand up and like start yelling out of the gate. You did the right thing, man. Yeah, just start, boom, tone.
Yeah.
I like it.
I was just letting them know, hey, you're being really loud. If you could just quiet it down. Like, it's not a big deal. Just, and it's during the preview. So I don't care. Just when the movie starts, shut up.
Yeah.
And so during the movie, like one of them, I guess, fell asleep or something.
That's amazing.
And so like they're all like, so they start moving and they're like, whispering to each other, which, hey, at least they're whispering, but
yeah, for sure.
They're also being very loud physically, like if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally.
So it was annoying, but it wasn't like anything where I'm like, I wasn't going to say anything because it's like, they're being quiet. I don't care. So they all run out of the theater and leave their friend just sleeping there. So then they come back in, and at this point they're starting to get loud again. And then I'm like, I'm about ready to start throwing some hands. Like, they're 14-year-old girls, but they're being obnoxious to the point to where I'm like, you got to stop. Like, this is not right. So they go up, they move to like the front, I guess, because then they can be loud down there and nobody cares, but they're in a movie theater. Sound carries, you know.
Oh yeah, that's how it's designed.
So then they're being loud. They're they're not really even paying attention to the movie. They're just sitting there. They're talking, and I'm like, and it reaches that point where I'm like, I paid $10 to see this movie. I really don't want to miss any of this movie, but I'm about to walk out of this movie theater and get somebody because this is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Then I hear like this loud, like they're putting their feet up because I can see them. They're close enough to the theater that the ambient light from the screen is lighting them up. Like, we can all see them in the theater. And like, I hear this loud bang, and they broke one of the seats because they were pushing their
oh my god
so hard that they broke the seat. And I was like, so I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, surely somebody is going to come in here.
Oh yeah,
and say something. No. Like, this was not a quiet thing. I know that they typically have cameras in the theaters that they watch so that they can like keep people in check. Nobody comes in.
Not there.
Nobody says anything. And I'm like, okay. So they keep talking, and then like it gets towards the end of the movie, and one of them stands up and yells something, and then they all run out like giggling out of the theater. So obviously they're being obnoxious at this point to be obnoxious.
Oh yeah.
And like, they kept
13-year-old girls, and they think it's cute. Yeah.
Right. Well, and when they broke the seat, they all ran out. So I'm like, well, maybe they're gone. And then they came back. So I'm walking out of the theater at the end of the movie, and they had broken every one of the seats in the front row.
No.
Oh my god.
Every single one of them.
Oh my god.
So the first one I can be like, that's accidental. Maybe they were just whatever. But then they broke every single one, and so it's intentional obnoxiousness,
and
which made it
property,
100 times worse. And I was just like, and so I had gone to see Let There Be Carnage earlier that day, and somebody had like a 2-year-old. I think their kid was like 3 or 4, and he was, which is fine, but also like, why are you bringing a 3 or 4-year-old to go see Let There Be Carnage?
Yeah,
because it would be kind of scary for.
For they're huge Woody Harrelson fans, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. That Woody Harrelson, he really, he really knows how the tools of his trade, his craft.
The kid is talking the whole time through, and not just like, hey, I need. It's like talking to get attention.
Yeah,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like like not even words, just and I'm like, I'm gonna strangle your kid. Like, this is how I go to jail.
Yeah,
right here. And so like, just and it's the third time I've gone to the theater, and nobody cares. Nobody cares that they're being loud. It's like they're too used to being in their own living room at home.
No, that's exactly it. Yeah, there's some of these kids, especially some of them haven't been to a theater in years, or they never really did, and this is their first time with that experience. They don't understand it. A lot of people, it's crazy, just going out to eat. Like, some people just forget how the world works, and they're so loud even at a restaurant. Like, not even drunk loud, just like, we're loud because we own this space. You're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I want to throw this out for you, Russell. Lazz too. I enjoy doing this because it makes Russell really sad whenever I do this. So what was Eternals rated, Russell?
I think it was PG-13 or something like that.
Yeah. So those girls in the theater with you were born the year the first Iron Man movie came out.
Oh, for God's sake. 2008. My God.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts.
It burns.
The MCU has existed their entire life.
It's not as bad as realizing that Lord of the Rings is 20 years old.
Yeah. Here in a week. Yeah, Fellowship of the Ring.
So I mean, at least there's that, because that makes me feel old.
Yeah, that hurt. Well, it was oh my God, Sam, the actor, Gamgee. Sam Weiss.
I forget what his name is. Rudy. Rudy
Sean
is his
Astin.
name.
Sean Astin.
Sean Astin. Thank you. So he had, I don't know if you guys saw this, but this is what made me realize how old Lord of the Rings was he had a picture of his daughter graduating college. And as you all know, it's his actual daughter at the end of The Return of the King that runs up to him as a little teeny hobbit girl. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
She just ran into his arms as a little girl and she just graduated college. I don't like this. Yeah, those hurt.
Scary stuff.
There are adults alive today who were not born when Lord of the Rings came out.
Hey, yeah. And here we go. This is a fun one. I just heard this the other day. Viggo Mortensen, right, is hold on. Give me one second. Hold on a second.
He's like, what, 60, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so, actually.
I got to make sure
I think he's in his 50s. Yeah, I think he was in his late 30s when he did Lord of the Rings.
So Viggo Mortensen is the same age Ian McKellen was when he played Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings movies, right?
Oh, you mean now?
Right now.
Now he's the same age. Okay.
Viggo Mortensen right now is the same age Ian McKellen was when he played Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings movies. So if they did it now, Viggo Mortensen could be Gandalf.
Yeah, no, that's
that hurts.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel great.
You know, I still look good for 30, though.
Yeah, you look amazing.
Yeah.
And Lazz looks great for, I don't know, what are you, 60?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically.
50? Warmer or colder?
Did you say 60? Oh, definitely.
I said
hot.
60. Hot.
Super
Okay.
hot.
61.
Just like you.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go, yeah.
Ray
What a
balls.
sexy 61-year-old man.
Right.
Damn. Well, speaking of the passage of time, right? Let's look to the future. Did you like that one? Very, very, in a distant, made-up future.
I tried to set up the segue like 15 minutes ago, man.
I know. But we started talking. I couldn't help it. We had to. You know how much I enjoy making you feel old. So this is the initial first recording of our first book club episode, and the book that was chosen for this first inaugural book club, which was a ton of fun, it was Ready Player One, which I closed all my information on it, looking up Viggo Mortensen's age. There we go.
One of those is more important than the other.
It's actually true. Viggo Mortensen is very much more important.
Damn right.
But yeah, a novel by Ernest Cline. And who wants to give us a rundown of like the setting of the world?
I can.
All right, Russ, go for it, buddy. What does the world of Ready Player One look like?
So Ready Player One is almost a little post-apocalyptic. I would say post-apocalyptic light.
Yeah.
It's definitely a future world where, it hasn't been hit by nuclear weapons or anything like that, but poverty, and it's kind of like the information age run amok, right? You've got people that have invested themselves in an online community to the extent that they don't really care too much for the real world, and overpopulation has become a thing. We really don't get an idea of what it's like outside of the United States, but inside the United States, it's very it feels very post-apocalyptic. People live in what they call
was it the rich got richer and the poor got poorer?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And to an extreme extent. I mean, you have people that live in what are called the stacks, where they've just put trailers on top of trailers on top of trailers on top of trailers, right?
Literally on top.
They're outside these city limits. It even mentions the fact that gas is so expensive that people they never go into the city. There's no reason to, right? Because there's this online community. I think Facebook took some cues from the Oasis, which is the online community, because they're starting to build meta, and a virtual world where you can interact with people online. But it's really a book to me about extremes, right?
Yeah.
You have everything that we kind of is happening right now to an extreme. It's pumped up to 10. And that's kind of where we're at. Now, the cool thing about this book is the Easter egg, right? The hunt. And so this guy who invented the Oasis, remind me what his name is?
Holiday.
Yeah,
Holiday. Holiday. And he had him and his buddy. It's kind of like Steve Jobs, and it reminds me a little bit. Yeah. Steve Jobs and Wozniak, where they kind of built this thing together. The great and powerful Oz is what he refers to himself as. Woz.
The Og, yeah, Og.
Augie, that's right. And they had created this environment, right? Well, Holiday was kind of... I like the idea of you have this person, because we see a lot of those kinds of people in the tech world, although less and less, which is kind of interesting. But he's very reclusive. He's incredibly intelligent, but very socially awkward.
Which is usually how it goes.
Right.
Which is why I'm
potentially
so socially
has
awkward.
Asperger's or some kind of social disorder. But he got cancer and he died. But before he died, he basically wanted to pass on, and it seems to me like he wanted to pass on his passion for this place to everybody else, to somebody who would really love it. So he passed on all of his shares.
Equally passionate, yeah.
Right. He passed on all of his shares and his like his money. He passed it on to whoever could solve this Easter egg. This series of riddles, this puzzle that would lead to something, and that's what the book's about. You have these people, you have the Oasis, you have the post-apocalyptic world, which is causing people to escape to this online virtual environment where they feel more alive, right? It's everybody's fantasy, right, to be the hero. And in this place, you can be. Like, it's got commercial aspects. You go and you buy things, and, you can live your entire life in there, just as, like, you go to an office and you go to a cubicle. So it can be very, like, real life, but it can also be, you're flying around in spaceships, and you're going on these adventures, and the world, the Oasis encompasses everything, every genre, everything that could appeal. I mean, that's the internet, right?
Well,
it is
that's
taking the place of the internet.
Yeah, it's not just this huge world people explore, like you mentioned. With businesses, like everything is in it. Like there's not really, Etsy's not a separate thing. It's just in the Oasis. So many businesses just go through that because it's cheaper to do. All shopping is basically done through that. Food orders, everything is done in this one program or game, whatever you want to call it. This living world. Yeah, that's the really fascinating thing. Is it's a one-stop shop for everything.
Well, in the Oasis. Oh, go ahead, Lazz.
Even to like governments, because they vote twice. I think Wade talks about he votes for in real life stuff, which he gives zero shits about. He says. And then Oasis stuff where he's like, I vote for Will Wheaton.
Right. Yeah, like there's and it's like nobody really cares about the real world anymore, because the Oasis, I think, is what we all kind of wish the world was.
Yeah.
Where there is magic, where there is the potential to jump on a spaceship and fly. The thing is the funny thing is like all this stuff costs money. Like Wade Wilson at the beginning. Wade Wilson is
Watts. Wade Watts.
Wade Watts. Wade Wilson is Deadpool. Yeah.
That's wait a second. Which you could be in.
Wait, which version of this book did you read? Wait.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and he even references that. He's like, my dad was really big into comics, and he liked the alliteration, and Wade Wilson, Wade Watts. I forget what. Because Wade Watts, he starts out, he's the main character. He starts out super poor. Like he has the school, because they all go to school online. They do everything in this environment.
Everything is in there. Yeah.
You know, and he goes and he has the free hardware provided to him by the school. And he, that's what he uses. And then what he does on the nights and weekends is he goes to places that are cheap so that he can try to make money so that he can do the cool, fun things. And the funny thing is all these people are escaping to this other world that's really just like this world, where, you know, you have people that are poor that just want something more. They want time, they want money.
Yeah.
And they go and they work on nights and weekends, and that's kind of what he's doing. He's just doing it in this virtual world.
Yeah, and currency is synonymous between the two. You know, like
Right.
money, it's money in the Oasis is actually worth more than like the dollar. You know, so it's
Right.
just, it makes more sense to earn in air quotes in game. You know, because it's worth more. You can purchase everything with it. Yeah.
I actually have an interesting. I asked my wife because she read the book too. I said, "Do you have any thoughts?" She goes, "Well, first, I'm not staying up till 11:30. To be honest, I was like, I didn't ask you." But she said, in regards, because Russell, you mentioned kind of like dystopian earlier, because that's how the real world is. So, and she had an interesting question. I don't remember if it's in the book anywhere. It explicitly states whether the world is in a dystopia already, and that's why the Oasis was created, or did it start to go more into a dystopia because the Oasis was there, and like you said, everyone stopped caring about the real world?
I think it was congruent because I think because he talks about this in the very beginning when he's talking about the hunt for the egg, right? That's what they call it, the hunt for the egg, and they're called gunters. Gunters, right? Yeah, gunters. And he talks about how, I mean, because obviously this world starts to branch off. It takes place in the future, but it starts to branch off at a certain point. I don't think it ever goes into it. I mean, the 80s were the 80s as we experienced them.
Yeah, broke off, I think, is the late 20, so about 5 years from now is when everything's supposed to go to shit.
Yeah. And
oh, good.
Yeah.
I think
we'll be all right.
But the Oasis, I mean, Halliday was, I mean, like, he was coming into adulthood in the 80s. Like, that was his formative years, 10 to 20, which is why he associated so strongly with that. So, if he's 20 by the time he's 90s, I think he died when he was, in his 40s or 50s?
He died, way older than that, because it's
earlier,
I've got it here. He was born in 72 and died in 2039.
2039. So I mean, potentially, I think the book seems to hint that it was congruent, right? And I think it even mentioned that it may have, or at least this may be just my own headcanon, but it probably had something to do with the egg itself, and because everybody is going there in droves, they're spending their nights, their weekends trying to hunt this thing down.
Sort of, because the hunt was heavily focused on for a little bit, but it only been 5 years since the hunt began when the book basically begins, and everything had been falling apart a long time before that.
Has it only been 5 years?
Yeah, it's only been 5 years.
5 or 6, something like that.
Because everything started and everyone went berserk, news coverage, everyone trying, and so the reason that he's able to kind of succeed later on is because it's been 5 years, and the majority of people obviously were like, all right, it doesn't exist, I give up.
Right.
Yeah, so the world had gone, so it's kind of, how it explained it to me was one of those, like, it kind of went hand in hand, but not really. He had a version of the Oasis that came out, and then that was kind of the only game. It just got updated. People would, you think of like, think of like say, horrible, right? But say like EA made the Oasis, right? And then you have all these smaller companies or developers that make their game, and they just pay to have it added to the Oasis as it continues to grow and whatnot. So it's kind of one of those, like, it was initially an escape as things had started to go, and then things really, and it could be a hand-in-hand thing that, this was designed to help you escape because things were starting to go bad, and then things got worse because you could escape. Yeah.
See, I would say it's more along the lines of like Facebook or Amazon, right? where it's a platform that everybody uses. It became
Mm.
so very popular, and it made the people who created it a lot of money, and then people started to tack onto it. I mean, Amazon, right? It's become a video streaming service. They've even gotten into video games and developing their own game systems, and it all ties back into Amazon, right? Or Google. That Google started out as a browsing engine. Now it has its hands in everything.
Everything.
I mean, Amazon. I mean, what is it? Twitch is a subsidiary of Amazon.
And I'm old enough to remember when Amazon was just books, basically.
Yeah, it
Used
started
books.
out as a used book seller.
I still
That was
remember
what
looking at the
Amazon
computer
was.
when my mom was ordering used books, going, "This site is dumb."
Yeah,
And now they own everything.
And-
It's crazy.
And now they sell us used groceries and used toys and used everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's kind of the thing. This thing that just went rampant, and then they started to stretch into everything else, and it kind of everything started to glom onto it. Like, it reminds me more of Amazon than necessarily Facebook.
Yeah,
because
no, I agree.
Facebook has kind of retained its own entity. Like, there were games for a long time. I mean, there were games on Facebook all the time, and like, hey, invite
That's
your
true.
friends to
God.
play it. They were really
Those were
crappy
dark
games.
times. Those were dark times, man. I'd log into Facebook and go, "I'm so popular." All these notifications. 800 people going, "Poke, I've offered you a gift. Come play Farmville." It's like, no.
Yeah.
Oh God.
No.
Yeah.
those are dark days.
So and I think he took a lot of different things and kind of concentrated it down. Ernest Cline, he took a lot of different things and then concentrated it down to give us a palatable story, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't want it to ring too true, it doesn't, but it does at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can kind of see yourself. All the main characters are kind of at different levels of I guess you could say society or life. And all have just different backgrounds but those of us that game, you meet people from all walks of life that have had different experiences. And so, yeah, it's definitely one of those that no matter, like, everyone I've talked to that's read this, like, connects with someone, on some level, because they've gone through that same thing. It's not like like James Bond or something, where it's just like, well, he's just perfect and amazing and gets all the ladies and nothing's wrong. And, it's like you said, it was very well done where everything was there in a way that makes you lose your train of thought.
Well, it is.
The egg hunt on the first day.
Yes.
The book itself, because it's very heavily focused on nostalgia.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Like, that is a huge aspect of this book. It's very 80s, which is a little bit prior to my time, but I got most of the references. Some of them I've only
Lazz just died inside.
Awesome. I came around in the 90s. I knew a lot about, because he does talk about some of those things.
Yeah,
but
I
a lot of the
understood
stuff
all
that
the
he talks
references,
about.
but yeah.
Yeah. There were a couple, like Black Dragon, Black Panther, Black Tiger.
Pink Panther. Ba-da-ba-da.
Black Tiger. I was like, I've never played that game, but I get what he's talking about. But like when he's talking about Pac-Man, or he's talking about, what was the other one? Lady Hawk.
Yeah.
Or different things like that. I mean, those things I associated with, or the Nintendo, where he's talking about some of these Easter eggs and some of these older classic games. But it's very focused on nostalgia, and I loved that aspect of it, because it takes you back. It's kind of like Stranger Things.
And that kind of goes hand in hand. The nostalgia and some topics we've had already before we even started with the book is a big question that I have off the gate just for fun. And this was discussed in the book club channel in the Discord. Which, once again, if you join our Discord and you get in one of these book clubs, we have a channel for discussing and asking questions back and forth, and it creates a really, really fun environment. But so really good question come up, because in the Oasis you have everything, right? You can go fly to a planet that's all Tolkien. You can fly to a planet that's a D&D planet. You can fly to a planet that's just Monty Python stuff. Like, what if you were in the Oasis? Where would you spend the majority of your time, Lazz, first?
Ooh. Where would I spend the majority of my time? So contrary to our earlier conversation, I was actually only alive for 4 years in the 80s. So I don't have I don't have that much memory of it. I look older than I am.
I seriously thought you were 60, so that's rough, dude.
I know. Bad. Where would I spend most of my time? That's tough. I really thought I had an answer for this off the bat.
We can go to Russ and we can loop back to you if you
No,
want.
no, it's all right. I can
right.
generalize it. Like, I know I would probably stick to my science fiction kind of style roots. Like, I'm sure that there's planets out there in the Oasis that are all just based off of various like science fiction writers. Like, I'm sure there's a Dune world out there that's just the world of Dune over and over again, basically, because you can do that. You can code that. So that's probably where you'd find me.
I dig that. That's terrifying, man. How's your walk? Is it rhythmic?
I don't walk.
Well, that works
It's
out
not
better.
worth the risk.
Yeah.
He would tame one of the sandworms.
Yeah. Or he'd be like the Baron and just float everywhere.
There's that, true, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I think riding a sandworm would be way cooler.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you can make your avatar into anything that you want. You can accentuate your features. You could potentially be anything. So in the Oasis, I imagine I would be a much more fitter version of myself. Hopefully. And that it goes to an interesting point that happens later on in the game, but we'll get there.
In the book. Yeah.
Not the game.
Well, where would you spend most of your time, Russ?
Where would I spend? Everywhere. Like, I mean, I don't think. I mean, I guess if I had to pick a place, probably D&D. A Faerun or something like that. I mean, that would be what would draw me. I mean, if nobody's listened to this show before, I'm a sword, board, and sorcerer kind of guy. Sword and sorcery. Love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But so I would, if I had to pick, but I would go everywhere. Like if that kind of world was available to me, I mean, it's like when I do the same thing when I play video games. I'd have ones that I watch and then I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to get that and I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
There are some that I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I got nothing else going on. I mean, it would, and I assume it would be the same kind of thing. Like, I would go to Destiny World and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go shoot me some Hive and go and explore the moon, and then I'd be like, yeah, I want to go on a D&D campaign and go to, Candlekeep, and it just depends. I mean, I'd probably spend most of my time on Faerun because yes, baby.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing about the Oasis, right? Is that you also level up, so you do get that kind of accomplishment. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It's it's satisfying.
Yeah.
Right? As you level up and you power up.
And it's something he described in the book, which is exactly what you want in a game. It's if you hear me talking about an MMO, one of the big things I'll first talk about is whether you can see the gear and there's a difference, and if stuff looks cool at higher levels.
Yeah.
Because that's something that he did very well in writing this is if you're leveling up and you're getting legendary stuff or really cool gear, you look amazing. You can just walk around and people go, that guy's done some shit. And that's what I'm like, that's well designed. That's such a huge part.
Right.
Yeah.
Where would you spend most of your time?
So, and obviously, you first log in, you want to check out everything, and I dig that it would be like when you're gaming, you have your home game that you want to hang out. But, like you said, when something new comes out, grab the boys and we'll jump over here to this new, DLC for Star Wars, whatever, or, Valheim world or, whatever is going on, but it'd be, I have to go Tolkien, man, and just like Lord of the Rings it up, and just go on some epic journeys and explore and go live in Rivendell for a while and go drink in Bree and just like hang out and just see these places. It'd be the home turf, where I'd go out everywhere to see all the new stuff and explore it all right. But like, I feel like that'd be where I'd normally hang out and just let the elves sing to me.
And honestly, I'd probably be wherever Brett is.
That's true. So
that's probably where I'd spend most of my time.
Colony. Yeah. If Russell's with me, we're going to the nudist colonies. Yeah.
Because I'd be like, I have fun playing by myself, but I want to play like with Brett or some of my other friends. So wherever they happen to be, I'd be like, yeah.
Well, that's like you said, the D&D world, it'd be awesome to just be like, we go, you can log in and be like, all right, let's go, because everything's interchangeable, we can go over there into what, a working version of Star Citizen that is still in development in 2039, and, we can go fly some spaceships and get all sci-fi, and be like, well, that was fun. Let's break for lunch, then come back and we'll get all the group together and choose our classes and go through an actual, D&D one-shot session, and go through all that, and or go over to Halo World and be a Spartan. You could just jump around and do all that, and it's just it's literally a dream.
But that's the other thing, right? It's the expense, right?
Yes.
Ooh. Because it, to teleport in this world, you have to pay to go from planet to planet. Transportation is a fee, right?
Yep.
Getting a ship is a fee, and it's all real world currency because this currency, like you said, is being used in the real world as well.
Correct, but you also can earn it through because he makes when we get to the first. Well, yeah, that too. Obviously, you got people that are sponsored pro gamers. You got an esports league. You got people that are probably you're probably walking through the Oasis and hear some guy walk by going, "Hey, Teddy P_XX, thanks for the bits." Just really loud,
right?
But I mean, just going through, when he's getting to the first gate to that D&D level, like he's earning actual money going through there. And obviously, when he clears it, he gets a shit ton of money. But like just doing regular stuff in game gets you the money. So I think at a certain point, I mean, like the closest thing I could put is like Final Fantasy 14 charges you to travel. If you fast travel somewhere, it costs something. And at first, you're like, shit, all right, I'll just run there. But after a while, you go, fuck it. I got money to spare. You're like, it doesn't matter. I'll travel anywhere I want. So, and that's the vibe I got is like, if you have to spend some money at first, but if you really grind it out and do things correctly and aren't stuck on your school planet because you have a free, rig from your school, like you could grind your way up to being whatever you want, which is super cool.
Right. Well, and I mean, honestly, it's kind of like the real world, right? You can go out and you can make money doing just about anything, and you can grind your way up. It's just going to take a lot of work.
Yeah, I'd rather grind by killing boars than,
Oh, sure. I mean, there's definitely a draw to, but I mean, that's, that's what people used to do. They would go, well, you know what? I want to go on an adventure and try and make money. I mean, there were lots of farmers. But, that
absolutely.
used to be the thing. Hey, I'm going to go be an explorer. I'm going to go do this thing, And it's the same kind of thing, I would love that, too. I could be like, yeah, shoot. Send me through the Tomb of Berserk, and I'll make lots of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go. But, I mean, that's... Anyway.
Yeah. And then another really fun question. We'll just get out of these in the middle here. I believe this one was from Drafty. And it was, as you can mix and match, weapons and gear from all over the place, what would be your go-to loadout when you're going around exploring stuff? Or you go to the war at Anorak Castle, right? What is your loadout that you're showing up with? Lazz, do you remember your answer from
first last time?
Okay. Do you remember your answer from definitely the first time we recorded this?
I remember a little bit of like cobbledness I threw together.
Yeah.
So based on like games I had recently played, because that's usually where my brain goes with that stuff. So I think I had said that like the avatar I had was going to look like Crash Bandicoot.
Yes.
But he was going to be decked out in Halo Spartan armor for whatever reason. And then I think we'd moved on. I hadn't added a weapon, like, because most of them, like, they have like a weapon they're carrying on their back, obviously from some other like genre or something that's not attached to it or anything like that. And I think the way I was going was I was gonna have the sword from Afro Samurai on the back.
Yes.
And that was gonna be my little, because again, you can make your avatar whatever you want, and God forbid you want to look like an anthropomorphic animal from a made up game. Who cares?
Yeah, and that's your thing. You know, you can. Oh, look, there's that one dude again. You know, you want to stand out, and that's something that was really well done in the book too. Is everyone wanted to stand out, and they had plenty of ways to do it. Whether it was just regular Avatar stuff or really like they talked about a few people that just had really weird avatars. You know,
But even like
you can
some
do
of
that.
them that like, even like the two main characters to an extent had avatars that reflected their real life selves to an extent as well,
Yeah,
though. It wasn't just
just
like
slight
something wild
changes.
and crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, which I thought was kind of cool too, because you should be proud of who you are and like what you look like, and if you want to reflect that in the game, you absolutely should. It doesn't mean you have to like you can go crazy. There's nothing wrong with any decision you make.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's your thing. So just a sword, nothing else there, Laz?
That's all I need.
Oh, baby. Well, you are wearing Spartan armor. You can cut
Baby,
that
baby.
distance pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Russ, what about you, brother?
Okay. I've been thinking about this.
I'm
okay.
very excited for
So
this.
I would go Gravity Hammer from Halo.
Okay.
Oh shit. Yeah.
I would do the Leviathan axe from God of War.
Ooh.
Okay.
I would do Origin Story from Destiny 2. You know, to get a little bit of long range action there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, so I've got my melee weapons, which would probably be my weapons of choice, and then I'd whip out Origin Story when things got hairy, or if I was in the sci-fi kind of world, you know, because that auto rifle will just always hold a special place in my heart before they nerfed it.
Yeah.
5 years
and
ago.
so I would probably be an elf of some kind, maybe Shadowkai, maybe a high elf, you know, D&D elf.
Yeah.
And then I would, for armor, I think I would go like Reinhardt.
Oh, yes.
Oh damn. Yeah, all out.
Some Reinhardt armor. Yeah.
I can dig
that.
it.
I dig that. Yeah. That's sexy.
Yeah.
That's we got a couple giants around us in this little fire team we're forming.
Because I think it could fit in well with like if I'm going to a fantasy world, then instead of all sci-fi, it's just fantasy stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see. As for me, that's the fun thing of this is you can just go berserk.
Last and definitely least.
Definitely least. Oh my god, that's bad. Laz, he's straight spitting facts right now. There's no need to feel bad.
I mean, he says least. I mean, technically speaking, you could just go commando. You don't need armor or any of that stuff for the Oasis. You could just be naked.
That's true. Yeah, I have nothing on me at all. No.
So you could do the Conan
the most feared
loincloth.
man in the Oasis.
Yeah, seriously. There he goes again. Yeah, I've just got like a cheetah print banana hammock on. I'm just frolicking everywhere. With invisible plus 30 gloves that I just punch everything horribly hard. That actually sounds pretty cool. But no, what I'd love to do is you can just
Gauntlet of Ogre Strength.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But I'd get some Mandalorian armor on, right?
Oh,
Put a big old dusty poncho on there. A couple of the pistols that Malcolm Reynolds uses in Firefly on each hip. That thing is iconic and sexy. I can have fucking Captain America's shield, and I can have a lightsaber.
Have you guys seen Free Guy?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Free Guy was closer in my mind. So there was the Ready Player One movie, but Free Guy was closer to Ernest Cline's Ready Player One in my mind than the Ready Player One movie was.
Well, the one thing since we're talking about it, if I don't know if you had the same feeling, but it looked amazing. But anytime they did a shot where they showed someone actually playing the game looked fucking horrible.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
I was like, this is such a cool idea. And then it would show a screen of someone actually playing. You're like, is this GTA 3? What the fuck are they playing? This looks awful.
But that's fair.
Yeah, I could have, a vibranium shield, I can have a lightsaber, get a couple pistols for range, Mando armor with the And the poncho's always flapping, even if there's no wind. It's just always got this little wind effect going on, you know?
There it is.
Yeah.
It's like there's a cape in D&D. It's the cloak of gusting or something like that, where it's always
Yes.
yeah.
And now I'm just reminded of Into the Spider-Verse, because when they meet Nicolas Cage's Spider Noir up in the ceiling, and he's like, "How? There's no wind in here. How is his cape blowing? Or not cape? How's it?
Yeah, trench coat.
Because it doesn't matter."
Yeah, so good. Yeah, it's just you just mix and match everything. That's the coolest part, man. We'd all look so amazing pulling up to some big battle, you know? And then obviously, you know, depending on where if I'm hanging out in Tolkien world, you know, I try to fit in there. I'm not going to walk around as a Mando with a lightsaber there, but you know, when you're doing your basic, you know, out of world, you know.
What color would your lightsaber be?
Ooh,
and what would the handle be like?
Ooh. I want to say you can't do purple. Only one man in the world can have purple.
That's correct.
Sure.
Yes.
That's it. On like there's something about that white lightsaber. You know what I mean? Just avoid, you know, it's just like it's different. It's badass, you know.
Not the dark saber?
Not the dark saber. I want the white one. Yeah. No, like if I'm walking with the dark saber, everyone's going to want to duel me for the right to wield it. And that's just I don't got that kind of time, you know?
Yeah, there could only be one in the game, though.
Exactly.
Like one in the Oasis, there's only
or
the
something
one
like
dark
that.
saber, yeah.
And you have to earn it by combat. It's just a whole thing. You know what I mean?
Like the Elder Wand.
Yeah.
Ooh,
you know what? I'd throw in like a wand as well, you know.
Yeah, tucked in your boot like a knife.
Yeah. I've got it behind my neck like that one Western that we watched that one time where the guy throws the knife. It just
yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Well, so we don't get into just retelling the whole story, right? So obviously you did the premise of, you know, of the hunt. You have people have to discover these keys to then unlock a gate to do a special thing. And I think all the stuff happens in the background, but the overarching thing, like, how did you guys enjoy, figuring out the clues and then actually like what they had to do to get a key and then the gates? How did you like how that played out?
I really enjoyed the way the story went. I wish in the movie they had stuck with the intensity of the riddles.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just that this thing, oh, I found the thing and now I got it, you know, like in the movie he figured out one puzzle, got the key, boom, he's done. You know, I mean, in the book this was intense. Like you said, it had been like 5 years since this thing had started. Everybody was manic about it and it was so hard. Nobody found any evidence and they're all like, oh, this must have just been a thing.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
like
bugged.
it was publicity, you know.
Yeah.
And even in the book, like Percival finds the first key, then everybody runs through it and does the thing. But then it's like another few years before he and I think somebody else figures out the other one, and it's a few years before anybody even starts to move on the puzzle, even though now that he's figured things out in the first few chapters, it creates this mania again.
Oh yeah.
You know, he becomes a rich man because he's able to create these sponsorships and do these things because he became so popular. He entered the leaderboard, right? Which was a big thing in the game because you got points for clearing things and at what point you cleared it. And so it's really cool that the riddles were so intense that it took people years and years to figure it out. And then you have the villains, the IO, right?
Oh yeah.
That are this big corporation that they're just throwing numbers at it and throwing numbers and money, you know.
Which is realistic. That's what would happen in real world if we had this. You'd have big companies doing that too. Like
100%. Well, it was funny because like And just as a side thing, like, when I first heard about the egg and everything, I out loud, not out loud, I don't think, but I thought, I'm like, why is it just a bunch of random people trying to do this? Like, you'd think a corporation would leech onto it. And I think it was the next chapter brought up, like, everything going on there with the suxors. And I was like, okay, yep. Well, I was one chapter ahead of myself. Look at this. It exists. And that's exactly what would happen. You're right.
I will say, go ahead. Oh, I was
just
that.
You me. It reminds me because, like, so for a while, and it's been solved now, supposedly, but for a while I was really interested because there was a real life guy, Forrest Fenn, who had hidden a treasure out.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere. And it was a thing where I was like, because I was thinking along the lines of, this would have been something that I would have been searching for, and always in the back of my head, like if I were in this universe, I probably would have been a Gunter, because I always would have been trying to figure it out and being like, okay, yeah, let's look through and read this kind of stuff, because that's what I did with Forrest Finn's treasure. I was like, I didn't go out and look for it because I don't have that kind of money or that kind of time. But it was always something that I kept in the back of my head, looking back at his riddle and going, oh, I wonder what's going on here,
It's essentially what geocaching is, right? Basically.
Yeah, but imagine you find the geocache and there's millions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Instead of random trinkets or something, yeah.
Well, and I've never gone geocaching, but his was it was just a riddle, right?
Oh, and I don't think it still hasn't been found, if I recall correctly.
Well, supposedly it has. Forrest Fenn has come out and said, hey, somebody found it. They just want to remain anonymous, but they've sent me proof that they found it.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Or I think he must have had some kind of trail camera there or something, because he was like, people have been within 500 feet of it, but just haven't found it.
Oh, that's...
that'd be awful if you found out afterwards.
Yeah. So and he never revealed where the location of it was or anything like that. But I mean, it was like $5 million.
Oh, sad. He died last year.
Did he really?
Oh, damn.
He was 90.
Good thing someone found it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, he was old. But I mean, it's the same kind of thing, where it's out there, like this idea of this treasure that all you have to do is find, and there's a riddle. I mean, it would be obsessive to me. It would be something, especially something of that magnitude. Yeah, where you're like, oh man, it's out there. And then that first clue, as soon as I found out what that first clue was, I'd been like, this is the thing for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is
I
it.
thought of you
this
immediately,
guy.
Russell. Immediately thought of you.
Yeah. Because the first clue is D&D adjacent. In fact, it is D&D.
Literally running through a pre-written journey. Yeah, a pre-written dungeon crawl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which was just awesome. And I love at the end that he challenges him to a game of Joust.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, that's how you win against Tesseract, is you play him in a game of Joust. It just, yeah. The riddles were the big part for me. The mystery of where's this going to go? What's coming next? Where's the next one going to be? And there's even that kind of red herring that turns out to be a major important thing when he's in the pizzeria.
Oh yeah.
The Pac-Man game, It was cool.
I think what I liked about it was that the riddles weren't just flat out, oh, know all this stuff about the 80s and you'll be able to figure it out. Like, you had to have the knowledge, but you had to know how to apply it too. You couldn't just be like, I picked this fact out. Because going along with school being virtual and all of that, and the school planet being free, basically everyone has unlimited access to all information. So it would be all too easy for somebody to just Google something or Oasis something and be like, all right, I found the first one, that was easy. But instead it turned into a legit riddle instead of just spit 80s facts out, which I thought was good.
Right.
Oh yeah, because people were even trying to get into the code to try to circumvent, to figure out where there was missing things or added things, and it was so deeply hidden you couldn't even do that, to figure stuff out.
Right.
You had to, like you said, apply the knowledge. So one of the cool things for me with the gates was the fact that they introduced a new style of gaming that he had invented himself, right? And didn't give to the public, but made it part of the Easter egg hunt, and then after a gate was finished, so like being actually in the movie, right? In a movie, and having to be the character, do the actions right, do the lines correctly, and legitimately experience your favorite movie and go through all the scenes. And that wasn't something that was in the Oasis beforehand. And then after the gate was cleared, that information was then leaked as a packet, to all these developers. And then they were able to make their own games of different movies from there. And I was like, that is so cool that like a new version of gaming was just in this. It was something no one had seen, and then everyone had access to it afterwards. I thought that was a really cool touch.
Yeah, definitely. The genius of this guy, and it's all just hidden away among, like you said, 5 years before anyone found the first gate, which means all that info was sitting basically untouched for 5 years, and nobody knew where the hell it was.
Yeah, and the fact that, and I really dug, it was definitely one of those like, well, of course it's on the only planet he can go to, but it's kind of brilliant because that's the last place he would look was the place he was stuck at. The last place anyone else would look is school. Who's going to do that? Yeah, brilliant. Nobody. Absolutely well done. All right, next question then. Were there any, and I'm saying this selfishly because I had a moment, but were there any of these clues, gates, keys, any of that stuff that like you guys kind of figured out before the characters did?
Was there anything? No, there wasn't anything that I figured out before the characters did. I mean, it was usually no. But I don't remember getting enough clues, like aside from the riddles, right? I think no, there weren't any. But I'm assuming you did because you seemed very excited.
Yeah, there's one of them. So I grew up listening to a shit ton of Rush. So when they get to towards the end, this is the third. I can't remember if it was the third key or it was the third to get to the gate. I can't remember which one it was. I always get the Rush part and then the Blade Runner part mixed up, but it was in that section of the book. But so he had to go through and figure out from Rush lyrics to some of their album covers and stuff. And so he started reading it off, and I was like, oh, and I like pronounced exactly what part of the song he needed, and I connected all of the dots. Then he figured it out, and I was like, oh my God, I figured out a clue before he did. It was the most invigorating feeling in the world. I can't, like, being a Gunter, like when you finally figure all those out, we've all been in a puzzle game of some sort, and you're just beating your head against the wall trying to figure something out, and you finally get past that level or that specific puzzle, and that's just such a good feeling. But yeah, I just wanted to brag a little bit because it was all the rest of them I was super lost. And even after you figured it out, I was like, what? No. But yeah, that one I was pretty proud of that. It was an exciting time.
Nice.
It's because you're sexy.
Thanks, man. Oh. Yeah. It was the only thing I brought to the table. I would have been one of those guys that gave up 4 years in. I'm like, no, I'm done. Thanks, though. I'll show up to the war at the castle. Good luck storming the castle.
Yeah, right.
So another question that came through in the chat there, in the book club chat, right, was I believe it was 2 of the gates we had you running through a movie, right, which we just talked about. What movie would you absolutely love to be in that scenario with that you think you could successfully do all the motions, all the lines and everything and get through it?
Was that part of the riddle, or I thought that was just like
No, that was clearing 2 of the gates was actually
War Games.
That. Yeah,
it was War Games.
Yeah, War Games.
That's right.
And
the first one,
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Holy Grail, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, because you had to get the key.
Yeah, you got the key.
How did it go? You had to solve the riddle.
Solve the riddle to get the key. Then you had to solve a riddle with the key to figure out where to put the key to then open the gate. And then you went into the gate, and once you cleared the gate, it gave you the riddle for the next key.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And it was War Games and then Back to the Future?
No, and then Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Monty Python and the Holy
Grail. Yeah, that was part of the big final
the big finale
gate thing, because it was a game and a movie. Yeah.
So what movie have you guys seen enough that and love enough that you feel confident, not just the lines, but the movements and everything. What do you think you could do?
Lion King.
Which Lion King? No, just kidding. The OG.
Yeah. The Lion King.
Yeah.
The.
Hopefully you get to be Mufasa, so you only have to do like half the movie. That'd be pretty dope.
Not even half.
Yeah. I like that. That'd be fun, man. I'd love to do a sing along of The Lion King with you.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't
and I've
that,
got.
did you?
Oh no! Well, I mean, I may not be able to sing on key, but I know all the words.
That's all you need.
Yeah, there we go.
What about you, Lazz?
I'd have to go with, and I haven't watched in a couple of years, but it's one of my all-time favorites. It's called a Shot in the Dark.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Plenty of you mentioned actions. That's the one you got to cover in that one. There's a lot of slapstick in that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know that movie. What movie was it?
So imagine
Shot in the Dark.
So it's the quote unquote second Pink Panther movie with Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with the Pink Panther, but the characters in it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I have seen that then.
I need to watch all those again. Those are so good.
I won't lie. I sometimes go into YouTube to look up all of the quote unquote fight scenes between Clouseau and Kato.
You know what one I probably couldn't do, but one I'd love to do? Legend.
Oh.
Damn. Yeah. For me,
that would be fun.
It would be Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy.
Yeah. Because if we watch
what's happening?
What's happening? It doesn't hurt here or here.
Or here.
Right here. But yeah, that's one we already watched and just quote the whole thing, and it makes everyone very upset when we do it. But yeah, God, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and you've done that for years.
For years.
Most of the reason that I remember a lot of quotes from that movie is from you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fucking love that movie. It's so good.
Get a little cold.
Wonder if she's dating any of the Yankees. Well, yeah. Okay. So we covered gates and okay. The second gate was playing a game he'd played before, but it was a side, side scrolling, jumping puzzle dealio, but he had to play it in first person. From the perspective, it's still the same setup, but he's in a first person perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Which, first of all, I thought that was awesome because he goes into it, he knows what game it is, and he's all confident. And then the second he realizes something's different, he's like, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble."
Right.
This is very different,
My depth perception.
Yes. Right. And that was intense. That was a really cool, really cool set of things there. But so what kind of like side scrolling game would you guys have enjoyed doing there?
Go ahead.
It's an easy one for me. It'd be Golden Axe.
Oh
yeah.
Oh.
First perspective Golden Axe, just running and shoulder charging everything.
Gosh, that would be fun. That would be fun. I think I would go along the same lines, except I would probably do X-Men.
Oh yeah. I know which game you're talking about. Yeah.
Or Donkey Kong. The OG Donkey Kong, where he plays Mario.
A close second for me would be we've talked about this on the show before, but Comic Zone from the Sega Genesis.
Oh God! Yes, I should have said that one. That one would be so cool.
Fun. Yeah.
Oops. Yes.
Yeah. What do you got, Lazz?
I think it would be kind of cool to see like a Street Fighter or a Tekken style game, because you do those from the side. It'd be cool to play that from a first person. It'd almost kind of be like the Oculus or virtual reality, but it's the same concept. Like you're used to the side views of stuff, and now you get to see it from first person and watch that fist come flying into your face.
Oh yeah, very fast.
And feel it.
Yeah. Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
Especially if you got that haptic suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
The haptic suit. Yeah.
And that actually leads into we're just flying through all our questions here, which I love. That leads perfectly to the next one we had, which was, I believe, Paper Cut was the one that, yeah, Paper Cut. Um, which style of rig would you want? You know, would you want to go all out like at the end where they're in the haptic suits in a full room that rotates, or is that too much and you want something in between? Like, what would be your ideal rig for playing in the Oasis? The smell machines, the being on an actual moving floor, the haptic suit where you actually feel impacts. Like, what is real enough? You're like, that'd be dope for immersion, and what is too much?
Mm, part of me wants to say the touch part of it, like being able to feel everything, might be
Mm-hmm.
like a little much. And he describes it in the book. There's a scene in the movie too where you actually see Wade's like suit kind of light up when he's like touched at one point. He's like, "Oh, oh, yeah, I feel that." And you're like, "Yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan of that." Not just from the like the aspect of like, again, a fighting game or any sort of like video game PvP atmosphere you go into, just in general. I think you kind of feel kind of out of body for a second there because you know that it's not in the real world, and but you're feeling it, and you're like, "This is kind of bizarre. I don't know how I'm handling this."
Yeah.
I would take the full range of motion, yeah.
It reminds me of an episode of Black Mirror where there's
Oh yeah, I can see that.
they have like this input, and it's not like a haptic suit, but it I think it triggers things in your brain that to make you feel like you're actually there. And these two guys are playing this fighting game, but then they find out that you can also have sex.
Ooh.
And so it's like, what is that like? And then it's these two guys, because both of them are straight, and they're like trying to figure out, does this mean that I'm gay? Like, what's going on here? And one of them is married, and he's like, this is cheating. And it's a cool episode. Go and watch it. But it brings up that question, right, with the haptic feedback of where does the line lie?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a fully virtual.
How real is real enough to be?
Yeah.
An actual thing?
You get into that uncanny valley a little bit, and that's like, whoa, that's a little much for me. That's a little weird. It's kind of like why they have robots like that. There's something obviously not real about them, because if they're too real, then people have an aversive reaction where they're like, nope, nope,
yeah, for sure.
And it's but anyway, I think I would go middle ground. I think I would go, the haptic suit that he has, like that he has like right in the middle of the book, like right before the second gate, before they go to Ogg's place, and he has like the full rig kind of thing, where it's real, but I don't think it's quite entered that uncanny valley. Like, when somebody punches you, it's not like you feel like you got punched, but you can feel things. You know what I mean? Like, to a lesser degree, but it's not quite real. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I think most people are would answer safely somewhere in the middle though, because you want to be able to like, with the haptic suit where you can feel stuff. Like, I'd love to be again, run around, Middle Earth, and like actually be able to like, you stand there and overlook a valley and like feel grass and feel the breeze on me, but like
feel the bow in your hand as you
feel the twang
the
of
sword,
the string. Yeah, feel the vibration of a connection with the blade. Would be badass.
Yeah, dude.
But again, like, I know, like, I want to do the full thing because I know I would spend all my time in there that I could, and I'd become fat and awful. So I should probably run when I run, right?
But that was the thing. Like,
Yeah.
Wade had improved his physique
by having that version of exactly.
Right.
But I don't want to have to physically run all the time. So, I just assume you could just disconnect. But like, yeah, I don't know. I definitely don't want. You want everything because there's those moments you'd want to have the smells. But again, like he says in the book, you have people that troll. You go, look at this lovely flower and it smells like a fart. So it's really because it's so many beautiful experiences, but again, as gamers, we know what the internet culture is like, and plenty of ways to really mess with you. But
well,
really,
how many times have you gone up to your wife and gone, "Hey, you got to smell this"? Whoosh.
Oh yeah, it's awful. Absolutely, I would do that to you all the time, Russ. But
or fart in the bed, and you're like, "Woo, yeah, that stinks."
Dutch oven.
I think I'd want to go as realistic as possible because again, me and Russell are going to nudist beaches, so I want to be able to just feel everything.
Sand gets everywhere.
Everywhere. It's core. It's
I
rough.
feel that. I don't know.
Yeah, I just imagine Lisa walking in. I'm trying to pick a wedgie that doesn't exist.
What's the matter with you?
No, you walk in and you're holding your hand out, going, "Smell this, man. Smell it."
Yeah. What is it? It's definitely not poop. I promise. She just roll her eyes. Oh God, it's Russell again, isn't it? Yeah. It's Russ. It's Russ.
Ah.
There's so many things I could say to that. I'm just not. I'm gonna let it go. Let it flow. Let it flow.
That's the boner. Yeah, she noticed the boner and go, "It's Russ, isn't it?" Yeah.
There it is.
So we've talked a ton about in the Oasis. We covered the gates, right? And I don't want to get too far into it because that's what we did last time and ended up talking about literally the story point by point. But so we've talked about, the gates, things in the Oasis, but a lot happened, which I really dug outside of the Oasis in the book to a degree that I assumed it would be like if you're reading Lord of the Rings, it gets to a point where when it goes to Frodo chapters, you're like, oh, fuck, I got to get through this shit, because everyone else is doing such cool, exciting stuff. And Frodo is just, the ring's heavy, Sam. Oh no, we don't have food.
See, Frodo was better to me than the Merry chapters.
Really? Oh my God, they were so good.
Return of the King, where he's just sitting there in Minas Tirith, and that's all. It's like a fourth of the book that nothing happens in Minas Tirith, and it's the last effing book.
But
that's how you really feel.
I was worried that outside of the Oasis would be those chapters, or like if you're playing Assassin's Creed and they leave the Animus, you're like, oh come on, I just want to run around, But honestly,
stop taking me out.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. Every time we weren't, in the Oasis, it was very interesting, cool, really big moments happening out. I mean, I guess we can touch on it at the very beginning, emotionally how it hits you. But so he grew up like in the stacks, like we talked about. It's literally just motorhomes literally stacked on top of each other, right? And
almost in essence homeless, because while he could sleep sometimes at his aunt's, like he wasn't really welcome there.
Yeah. Yeah. His parents were dead, and he was with his aunt that didn't care about him, like you said. And it's not just, stack upon stack of these things, but there was like in one mobile home, like there was like 15, 20 people living in there of all different relation. So you're just absolutely sardined in there, right? But so you have his little getaway area, which was really cool. I really dug that. But almost out of the gate, you have, the things going on with corporate, and they blow his fucking stack up and kill his family.
Did they? I thought, was that in the book?
Yeah.
It wasn't just in the movie, right?
Yeah, that was in the book.
It
was a huge part in the book. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like the Iowa, you obviously see these corporate entities that have become so large and have, like, there's no police. It's all private security firms and things run by corporations. And so, like, it's an interesting dynamic, because even later on in the book, like, it talks about one of the Gunters being killed by Io, and so it wasn't, and like you talked about, they blew up the stack, which means that they killed hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just like, oh, we're gonna go, and I mean, but it's also it was more acceptable because it was like, it's a poor section that nobody really cares about. So like with I think it was Dido, like They just went and assassinated him, and kind of, he was the only one killed in that particular incident.
Oh yeah.
But then they're just willing to go and kill hundreds of people just to retain the rights that they want to the Oasis.
And even like, I think he says that the Sorrento even says that too before that action takes place. He's like, "You really think anyone's gonna care if like you just disappear?" No one's gonna care, and he's not wrong either. That's the thing. Like, I don't know if they said this in the book or not, but literally it'd be like one of those news stories that was like, if there's a 12-page newspaper, it's on like page 11.
Yeah, and I think even
on
then it was
story.
it was a gas leak or something. That's what they had said had happened. It was a propane. I think it was propane. I think they said it was a propane tank.
Oh yeah, because they attributed it to like one of the campers or something like that, one of the trailers. Yeah.
And the only reason it survived is because he had that little hidey hole in the junkyard. Where it's just a van that he had built into like his own private space, his own office.
Which I loved getting a visualization in the movie of that. Like, I was trying so hard to visualize it when I read it in the book, and I'm like, I just can't picture it. And then when they did it in the movie, I was like, ooh, okay, I can picture this now. Now I've got it. That's awesome.
They did a lot of good things in the movie. There were some things that I wish they had gone with the complexity of the riddles, because that was a big part of it to me. And but other than that, the movie had some good representations. That while not perfect, it was cool to go, like the van, and I remember seeing the commercial and going, the van, yes, like it was just so important to me. Also, oh gosh, what's his name as Og was just a perfect choice.
Oh, Simon Pegg, yeah,
Simon Pegg. But yeah, I mean, it was very. I forget the point that we were making. Oh, these corporations that are just willing to kill everybody. It, like I said earlier, it's everything that's happening in the real world, but turned up to 10.
Yeah,
it's exaggerated, but not. It's also not so far out of the realm of possibility that you wouldn't go, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, I could see that happening. Which is kind of a scary thought, that you're like, I could see corporations just assassinating people. No, that makes sense.
It happens already, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was the scariest part, is it was very believable. It wasn't like, oh, wait. Because at first you're shocked, and then it hits, and you're like, no, that actually makes sense, because it's billions of dollars being in full control of the biggest company in the world, basically. Yeah, absolutely. Right. They would do everything they can to get ahead. They're throwing, thousands upon thousands of people at it to try to figure it out, and they have access to, the first Gunters to figure out the first key. They think these are the guys. Let's bring them in, and if they don't want to be brought in, well, they're competition. Get them out of here.
Well, and it's interesting that none of the Gunters went to work for them.
Yeah,
right. None of the big players. The Gunters were in this war against the corporation, the IO, right? The Suxers.
Yeah.
And it was like none of them were like, yeah, this sounds like a good idea, which is interesting. And I like that he kept it like the Gunters pure in a certain respect.
Yeah, well, especially the top 5, because they had that immediately had a big meeting with each other. We're like, hey, we should probably, like, we're not going to work together, but like, let's keep in touch, and so we know what's going on, and keep each other true, so people don't jump over there.
Yeah.
But, and, to be on the other side, as much as we all, are heroes in our hearts, they described the benefits of working for them. I was like, in a shitty dystopian world like that, I would probably not, if I was Wade in that moment and found the key and stuff, and it was like, I might be able to pull this off, I would have done the same thing he did. But like, before that moment, I probably would have went, yeah, fine. Take care of my family for me. Pay me well. Give me a house. Move me into the city and out of the stacks. Like, honestly, it sounded like a pretty cool gig.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, there is an aspect of that does sound appealing. Like, Wade in that situation, like I probably wouldn't either, because I've been like, I just found the first key. Screw you guys.
Yeah, I could possibly be everything. Yeah.
Well, because at that point too, he has sponsors. Like he is well off enough.
Yeah.
To where he did. I mean, he did move into the city. He was able to afford all this other stuff, and he was well off financially. So he really didn't need IO for that. And in that situation, I wonder if they had made him the offer before. If like it would have been much more tempting when you're like, I don't have any of this stuff, but you want to hire me to hunt for the egg for you. Ooh, like it would have been hard to pass up.
I would have said yes in that moment for sure. Before the first egg, or before the first key and everything. Yeah, I 100% would have said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's, because we've kind of covered the first part of the book, the second part of the book. Let's talk about that final battle.
Yeah, we can do that. Well,
right. Go ahead.
Okay, there's one part. There's a middle section outside the gate, and we don't need to go in absolute detail again. But there's the other section outside of the Oasis where Wade purposely lets himself, pretending to be someone else, get captured so he can then infiltrate the whole system. Which
he goes into debtor's prison.
Yeah, which Lazz, I think you brought up a point when we definitely didn't already record this episode.
Oh,
that
totally.
It had bothered you that he had all these skills and had never really been brought up until that moment.
The hacking skills, yeah.
Yeah.
That he that particular, it's a couple chapters when he gets himself captured by the Indentured Servitude Department or whatever it's called. And the way that it's written, that it goes into the details of here's how he hacks into the system using like black market hacks that he picked up before he got captured. It's like, dude, he's got all these like skills, and I think they're mentioned a couple times previously, like when he like changes his identity and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like these chapters just went hardcore into like, I'm just gonna sit here, pretend that I'm being a good little employee, but I'm hacking your systems and stuff. And you're like, dude, where was this stuff like 7-8 chapters ago, man? Like, you've got all this talent here. And I guess maybe it just didn't make sense for like the narrative earlier on because the riddles and stuff didn't really rely on that. But it just it feels like it kind of comes out of right field all of a sudden. It's like, whoa, dude's like a major hacker. Like, I'm surprised he wasn't able to like mess with more stuff earlier in the book to basically try to get himself a little better off. But
yeah, or do some coding of some sort. Yeah, it was just kind of one of those like he knew everything he needed, and it was kind of like the one part I agree with you. It was a really cool sequence. Where I was like, this is badass, which is the main reason why I mentioned earlier, like being out of the Oasis was still really interesting chapters because that was cool. But yeah, I 100% that it was definitely like one of those like, well, there's nothing any of us can do to get past this shield. I guess it's over. Oh wait, suddenly I have these skills that are exactly what we need right now.
Well, I disagree. Oh, and here's why. Yeah, because like Lazz said, it was like it was I forget what they call it. It's something gun. It's a literary device. Anyway, hold on. Something gun? No. It's called
Dancing
Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's gun. Where it's like it's a dramatic principle that if there's a gun above the bar, it's got to be used at some point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like if you're gonna point out that there's a gun above the bar, it's gonna be used at some point. So he had used that principle where he's like, hey, he knows how to hack, and part of it is I can see why he wouldn't hack the Oasis, because I think it had a lot to do with the integrity that he felt of the Oasis. Like the Oasis is a safe place for him. And I think that, throughout it, I mean, he's not a troll. He doesn't really give people a hard time. I think there is a certain level of integrity to the Oasis that he feels like should be maintained, which is probably why he doesn't use his hacking skills in the Oasis, right?
Which is why he's worthy, yeah.
And then there's also the aspect of I don't think he really had quite those. I mean, because we see him grow. He goes from a young kid in high school to his I think it's what, mid-20s, early 20s, somewhere
Early
in there.
20s, yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the skills that he picked up were survival, right? He had to survive. I don't think he was a major hacker before his stack got blown up, but once he saw the lengths that IO was willing to go to, I think he was like, I need to improve my skills so that I can hide myself away from them so that they won't find me. And so I think it became a survival thing. And that's how he kind of picked up those skills. And it wouldn't progress the story to really talk about it because it's not needed until that very specific point, which is why he kind of hints at it. And he's like, yeah, he's hidden his identity. So obviously he has some hacking skills. And they do talk about like they've created like their own space that's protected from certain people. And, you know, he does set up and he does talk a lot. I mean, and even at one point it's talking about the interface that he had created, right? That mimics the, you know, the stuttering guy. You know, it's a system that he had set up. Coming from a tech background, I know that takes an operating system. Developing your own operating system, scale way outside of my expertise.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
As are most.
So it had. I think Ernest Cline, because I mean it's not really something that he really hits on until this specific point, but it's not like you're like he's a hacker, like he has all these skills. Like it indicates to you throughout the text that he knows what he's doing. He's tech savvy. He has this idea, and I think it was only in this situation because I think that he was a white hat hacker. You know, he was willing to hack, but it was only to preserve and do a good thing. You know, he wasn't a black hat. He didn't go and troll people and take things away from other people. He didn't steal with it. He had no intention of doing anything like that. He hid his identity for his own protection. And then when he needed to take down this evil corporation, he went in and he hacked them and did what he needed to do.
Well, I think the main thing that bothered me wasn't so I don't really, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it was so much the hacking as it was like the whole series where he just knew exactly, like he played it cool and you know, got in and acted just fine and figured out the exactly
espionage.
All the espionage stuff that was very out of his character as a person, you know, and I switched the camera feed and you know, hacked into the, you know, the TV system to do all this stuff and worked my shift and stayed cool and did everything just fine and escaped perfectly. And it was just like hacking in. I agree with you. Like that was definitely hinted at and I agree with that, but it was just being
the other skills
out of character because he was always talked about how he was, you know, very shy, not I can't remember the word, you know, courageous or, you know, any of that stuff. It was just like, it was almost like he was,
but that was in the beginning. Person.
Yeah, but it never hinted. He just locked himself in a room for 2 years before this. He never interacted with anybody. It felt very out of character for him to be like, well, suddenly I can handle being in this social situation and be cool and sneak in and get the badge and get out. Like it's no problem.
But that changed over the years. I mean, he was in a room, but then once he had been thrust into the celebrity spotlight, I mean, you have to be somewhat social, right? Because even if it's in the Oasis, because of the realism, you would have to be comfortable speaking with people, talking with people, getting sponsorships, things like that. You're going to have to meet. You're going to have to talk with people. You're probably going to have to be on camera. You're probably going to have to do all these things. And we saw that he had grown. I mean, he had increased his physicality. He had become more athletic, and it was because he had become so regimented. So we do. I mean, it hints at it. Again, I'm with you. I'm with you because it's not. It's lightly hinted. It does seem to kind of come out of, whoa, he's got a lot of skills. Yeah. That's like, those are a little weird, but I could see where he could also learn those skills from the Oasis. I mean, he's an adventurer. He's in front of people. He's constantly in groups or going along with people. I mean, he prefers to be alone. But I could also see where he would pick up some of those skills in the Oasis, but it never really goes into detail. I think he probably could have added a blurb of like, I spent a lot of time like in Rainbow Six Worlds doing crap like this, and
or at least talking about, like you mentioned, having to do those, big, I'm this guy in front of people all the, because it never talked about that. It mentioned that he had sponsors, but it was just, I'm locked in a room for years.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
talking
could probably
to anybody.
read between the lines, but you're right.
But I don't.
It's not.
You know, if Ready Player One isn't this deep philosophical read between the lines book, you know what I mean? So like,
no,
it felt so. I actually really enjoy that you didn't agree, because it brought up points. I definitely agree with you, but it just felt, I think the big thing is, like Lazz said, it just felt very sudden. Like, and you know, you have the basic, like, when the need arises, who will rise to the occasion, you know. It just felt weird that he was super cool. Like, he never was panicked. I think that was the main thing that bothered me, is he was never like, oh my God, this could fall apart at any time. I can't believe I'm doing this. It was just that he was like super cool and professional about it the whole time. I was like, that's not him. And that felt weird.
Even though he knew when he made the decision, it was probably a stupid decision in the first place.
It didn't fit what you had felt from him reading. Now, I can understand from an author perspective of going, well, this is the idea of the character in my head.
Yeah, and that should come,
you know, because it's you know, Brandon Sanderson had said something along the lines of, you know, when you're a writer, it's kind of like a glacier. Like when you do a book, it's kind of like a glacier. You know, people only see the first 10%. There's still 90% of what's below the surface that they're never gonna see. You know, and I assume it's something along those lines, and probably for pacing, he was like, you know what, I mean, who cares?
It's got to get done.
You know, we're here. It's got to get done. Yeah, people are probably going to be like, oh, that's kind of sudden, but honestly, you know, because you might disrupt the pacing by throwing, like, you could probably throw a blurb in there, but then people are going to be like, what's with this? Like, why is this in here? Like, why, you know, and they may not even connect it later on down the road. And then there's also as you're writing it, you're like, in your head, you're like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Yeah. Because it's your character and you know how they feel, but then getting that representation or that reflection back at you, it becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Like Robert Jordan, he said, because I was listening to an interview with him, and he was like, you know, I don't read my books, but I will listen to my books, because then it's one step removal, and I can see, are there things that I hit here? Have I hit these foreshadowing moments, or have I flubbed it up? Yeah. Is this going to make sense later on down the road? Is this coming across the way I intended it? He said, because when you have somebody reading it back to you, it's that level of removal. It helps you to go, okay, I'm gonna remove myself one step from it. But anyway,
yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get into for sake of time, let's get in where you wanted to go originally. Is the end battle, right? Everyone's lined up. This is the be all end all war. There's a big shield. He goes and hacks. Go for it, Russ. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to hit on in this section?
I loved this. I loved this section because the espionage is to set up this, because IO has created this shield around Castle Anorak, right? That nothing can penetrate. So he had to infiltrate their system so that he could create unleash a bomb that would blow this artifact up that IO had. That was creating this sphere, and all the Gunters are lined up, and it's just so cool because it's got the Zords from Power Rangers. It's got like Gundams. It's got what was it?
Mecha Godzilla.
Mecha Godzilla. You know,
everything you could think of, man. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I love, and Mecha Godzilla against all the other, like, it was just so cool that it's just, you picture, and he did such a good job because you picture it in your head.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And then Sorrento's about to lose, and he blows up a bomb that destroys everything.
Which was awesome, because it was definitely those moments you're like, oh, we just had the epic battle. We're here. Like, this is how it's going to end. Nope. That's not how it's going to end.
Ooh. You know, it was one of the things that I really enjoyed about the movie right, was they did such a good job of that representation of, you know, they had like Tracer and they had the Iron Giant. I mean, they couldn't use everything that was in the book because of copyright, right? But they had enough that I was like, they captured the essence of it, and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
like, that was neat.
A funny thing is because recently when I read the book for the book club, was the first time I'd actually read the book. So I still haven't actually seen the movie yet. I need to, but I remember I knew that the book was very 80s nostalgia. So I remember seeing the trailer going, what the fuck is Tracer doing there? That's not 80s. So like I knew it was 80s themed, and I remember the trailer going, what? This doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Yeah.
Especially when you see a line of Spartans come over.
But now it does make sense.
Like,
yeah.
I wish Steven Spielberg had copyrights to all of the things that he probably wanted copyrights to.
Oh my god!
I think that they did the best that they could with what they had, right?
That had
because
to easily be the most expensive scene ever made.
Well, no,
just
because they own
rights.
If you notice in the movie, you haven't seen it.
In
the movie, they only use things that I think it was Warner Brothers. It was the only things that Warner Brothers had rights and access to.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and they had to change it up. Like they didn't mention D&D. Like they didn't do the Tomb of Sarac or anything like that.
I don't want to watch it now.
They couldn't. Like they could. That was one of the parts I was really looking forward to, but they couldn't put it in there. They do have some references. Like there's a poster in one of the scenes with Holiday. It's like in the background. So they do have. It's funny because this book that's about Easter eggs. They have lots of Easter eggs in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Which I was a big fan of. But yeah, I mean, you got, he's got the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and he's got, they've got all this stuff, this cool stuff that the Gunters have been building up over time, and they take it into this and it's a real war because you die in the Oasis and you lose everything.
Yeah, and I hate that. That's one of the. I think we talked about this last time, Lazz. That was one of those things where I was like, I'm all into this game, and then I heard that and I was like, what the fuck?
I'm not into this game anymore.
Being level 100 and like something goes wrong and you die and you just lose literally everything. I'm like, from a gamer perspective, that sucks.
It's Dark Souls. Like the only thing I can equate it to is playing Dark Souls.
Yeah, but you still don't lose everything. Like
you lose darn near everything, and
you still have your equipment though.
Yeah, but you can't level. And at certain points, you're like, I need it. That was, I mean, but like you lose 100,000 souls.
But it's literally like being level 120 in like World of Warcraft. Then you die, and then you're level 0 again, and you're naked on a beach. No thank you.
But you find it interesting though that like you zero out, but then artifacts stay behind though.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So like it shows how powerful those are.
And again, you have your different, player types. So like, yeah, I'd probably mostly be doing PvE stuff, but you have people that be really into that and understand it and, do PvP and there's a chance for that. Or I mean, even high end PvE, like you'd understand that going in and choose your group and everything. I could see the excitement behind that, but
it's like playing hardcore on Diablo.
Yeah.
You go in and if you die, you die. That's
it's not your life.
Start over, all over again. Well, yeah. I assume there is. Because I think you only lose what you have on you. So I assume like if you can bank stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And you still have your currency, but man, that's rough. That's rough.
Oh yeah, no, it would suck big time. Like I would never go into PvP.
Yeah.
Unless it was something that I had like extra of. It's like recently I was playing Valheim, and I went to the swamps. I had forgotten to eat. And I jumped out, and a guy killed me. So that's my ship, the stuff that I needed to make a portal, and all my gear dropped right there. So then I try to go back on the locks. I'm riding the locks across the water, and the locks dies. The locks that I spent a week training.
Oh, man.
So then I'm like, well, screw that. So then I take my little ship over there, and all my potions. And I die. And I lose all my potions. And now I've got both ships stuck over the swamp with no way to get back over there.
Now,
and all my gear is over there.
Imagine that, but 5 years of your life.
Oh my god.
It's a good thing you had that coin.
Yeah, which is it's I definitely want to hit on that. As he played that game of Pac-Man earlier, way earlier in the book, where it was beautifully written. Where like when it came up, where he's still alive, you immediately went, "Oh, the coin!" Like you knew. But before that, you were like, "Oh yeah, he just won that." Like it was beautifully written, where it wasn't obvious that this is going to come up. It was when you first read it, but you kind of forgot about it as you kept going.
It felt like a red herring.
Yeah, it was really well done.
But it was another Chekhov's gun. It was like, you've got this coin. We know it's going to be something later on.
Yeah, but and that's the cool thing is you assumed it was something with like to get into the gate or something, not like an extra life that no one has. But when you look back on it, they mentioned that no one had extra lives so much. Now that you think about it, you go, well, obviously that's the specialty of the coin. But at the time, you don't see it coming at all.
Yeah.
At least for me.
And it was a cool epic moment where, he did everything right. It didn't feel anticlimactic. Like the ending of Harry Potter, like Harry and Voldemort dueling, it's like one spell. And I was just like, I just read 2 pages of them circling each other, and you throw one spell at me, and it's done. Like, it felt very anticlimactic. I had devoted years of my life to this series. I have devoted hours to reading this book, and the ending felt so anticlimactic the first time I read it. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding. And in this book, he did it well. You have this big, epic fight. Huge. I mean, like, the scale of it was just so massive and so awesome. And then, they beat him down, they defeat the enemy, and then he pulls that one bomb. And just the if I can't win, nobody can win.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's that magic moment where the coin, the extra life. It made me think of Super Mario with the green mushroom.
Oh yeah.
And and I loved it was very well done. That whole scene it fulfilled the promise that the book had set up.
Yeah, well, because that was the thing is like when you have a big last battle, which is not easy to write, where you can picture everything to the degree we had, like you mentioned. But you think about it, you had your the main focus was everyone their big mechs fighting each other, right? But at the same time, in the same moment, you have this giant space battle going on. At the same moment, you have a big like sword to sword centurion style whatever thing battle. You got people with sniper rifles and in the trenches on the other side, and people on foot and people in vehicles and tanks, and like every style and degree of combat you can possibly think of is happening at the same time on this entire planet. So badass.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Lazz,
you falling asleep?
Huh? No, not at all.
So that last battle, right, Lazz?
Oh, I know. Last battle, yes.
Okay, then.
Good morning. All right, yeah. Good guys won. No. Yay.
I had my point earlier about the artifacts there. That was my main thing that I enjoyed.
Oh, okay.
The simple fact that the gate was up off the ground.
Oh, yeah, that was so cool.
And then he had to dig through all the artifacts. Yeah.
How did I forget, because the gate was floating up in the air, so how did he get to it?
Artemis had Converses that had like jump power or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And it was like one charge or something, so he had to like time it perfectly the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yet just another example of how your avatar could be super decked out in armor and stuff and be like, check out my chucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that so much.
Well, and I love so the ending is that Wade Watts, he opens the gate. He gets
all the money, gets the business, gets the girl.
Right. And there's like this big red button that Holiday's like, hey, if you press this button, it shuts the Oasis off forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the movie he like shuts it off on Sundays or something like that.
Right, they make it much less dramatic with the shut off button, yeah.
But I just Because in the book, it's like you press this button, it's
Everything's
gone
gone,
for good,
yeah.
everything. And I like because it kind of spoke, I think, to the culture that he's hinting at. That I don't think Wade ever even considered pressing the button.
No, not at all.
He just he's like, this is reality. This is where people live now. Like, and it was so special to him. It wasn't something that he really even considered, like, hey, I'm gonna shut this off because screw everybody else. It's there, but it's not. I think he loved it too much. I think he loved the Oasis too much.
But in the same way, you have at the ending, which I really dug. It's cliche as you want. It was really really funny. He gets the girl, gets the money, gets the business,
Sure.
signs everything over, and the book ends with, and I didn't have a desire to log in anymore because he finally had everything he wanted. And I really dug that. I liked that. Forget that there's a second book or anything. I haven't read that, but not knowing that book existed until that moment, I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. His whole life was the Oasis until he got everything he needed. And I always liked that message.
I would still go into the Oasis.
Well, you don't have everything you need, Russ, because you're.
I think I have everything I need.
No, Russ. You don't have me living in your house naked.
This is true. Or chained to a wall.
Or chained to a wall, yeah. Either way.
With a gas mask on. Both. No, that was my intention. He's naked living here, but he is my sex slave.
Would your wife be aware?
Oh yeah,
I think I would do something like no. I think I would do something like, oh gosh, what was that show? There's a show where like there's like or like the guy who has like the person locked up in the basement, like in a hidden behind a hidden door.
Oh yeah.
Do something like that.
No, I want to be able to, to talk to her. Like, man, Russ so needy, am I right? And she'll be like, yeah, we can stand there and eat donuts and talk shit. Well, he woke up, back to work for me. Good luck out there.
Break's over.
Yeah, we have our little. She'll have to put the water cooler on the wall next to me, obviously, but we can sit there and talk shop.
Talk about how big my penis is. How good I am at the sex.
So
anyway,
I knew that's what shop was.
Yeah.
The shop is my penis.
Yeah, drop shop.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, overall, obviously, I think we know the answer, but would you recommend this book to your friends, to people you know?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you thoroughly enjoy your experience through this world?
Yes, I've actually read this book a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's always a nice little fallback option.
Yeah.
For reading purposes.
It's one of the, because I did the audiobook at work, obviously, read by Will Wheaton, which was incredible. Which I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the part that he was mentioned in the book, and you could hear in his voice, he's like,
the smugness.
I have to not laugh here, but you could tell he was like, couldn't help it. I like that. But anyway,
damn you, Wesley Crusher.
When he's talking about being the president of the Oasis for like the upteenth time.
But it was one of the, I don't think I've ever really had this with a book, but because it was such an exciting story. It was a fun ride again, listening to it while you're at work and everything, but it ended and I immediately started it over. I was like, that was amazing. Let's go again and see if I can, catch stuff this time that I didn't the first time around. Like it was I really enjoyed it. It was a great story.
It was what got me into audiobooks, actually.
Oh, interesting.
This was the first audiobook that I had listened to. And I was like, this is so good. Well, and then I was like, then I went to The Eye of the World. And that's when I listened to The Wheel of Time.
Here we go.
Dude, it is such a good series. And you can't
thank you everyone for joining us.
You're listening to it now.
I know, you're right. I know. But it's a bit. We've had it for 2 years, all right? Give it to me.
No.
I'm still going to do it. Yes.
The Eye of the World. Watch it on Prime. If you have not watched it, go and watch it because it is.
Love the pen clicking with your enunciation. Sounds
Watch
really
it!
good.
This last episode, there weren't a whole lot of story beats. It was more like this episode was kind of more of a setup for things that'll happen later on.
Yeah,
but there was some really cool stuff that's not necessarily in the book, but was really, really good.
So I work in the morning and Lazz is falling asleep, so I'm gonna cut you off.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No, that's what we love about you. That's why.
What? We've been talking? What's going on?
Never mind, Lazz.
Lazz just keeps closing his eyes and being like...
He closed his eyes for about 15 minutes there. It was pretty great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was asleep.
Just shit happens.
Sitting up.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, there we go. Our first book club for Just Some Guardians, our episode recording and discussing it. If this is something you enjoyed, again, I think probably I'm going to try to this week. If not, it's just so crazy for me at the post office. But definitely once we hit the new year, we will have a list of books to choose from in the Discord. So please join that. Everyone will be able to vote between those books. And obviously, whichever one gets chosen, we'll go a month out for reading it and then have another episode like this where it's open to everyone involved. If you want to be on the show, you want to sit down.
Silent manipulation. Ooh.
That's the way we're going to do it. So if you want to be part of this, it's so easy to do so. Then we'll have a channel discussing the book in the Discord. See if you're, don't want to be on the show. That kind of makes you nervous. We get that. You can still tell us your thoughts and be part of the community for that. So we'd love to have you there. Lazz, brother, thank you so much for recording this for the first time with us.
It's been a pleasure to be here for the one and only time.
Yeah.
One and only time.
And I think were we to have done this before, I think we did a much better time. Not much better.
You did a much better time?
Well, I'm so fucking tired right now.
Much better time.
I got to go to work.
You sound like me.
Yeah. We did words in a positiver way than we previously had not done. How's that?
Kevin Conroy.
Cream on your chest. He shirt, she shirt. Well, Lazz, where can people find you?
We didn't get to the end of the episode and go, oh shit, we just talked about the entire plot.
Yes, seriously. That's so funny. We're like, we don't want to do that. And then we immediately did that.
Oopsie daisies.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you, Lazz?
You can find me in multitudes of various Discord servers as Lazz or LAZZRICH or Teox, Mistress of Dusty Drapes, because whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on social medias at LAZZRICH the Lich, mostly on Twitter, occasionally on Twitch, but real life owns me right now, so I haven't been on that as much. But yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Oh yeah, man. You're a beautiful soul with great insight
thank you.
And a beautiful background.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Russell, my friend, my lover. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DRJex, that's JEX0725. And then you can find me on the Discord, Jackal7250. I'm usually in the D&D channels, but I lurk quite a bit. I lurk in ELMMERFUDD's Discord quite a bit, and Halo, Valheim, whichever catches my interest, I'm usually in there. Yeah. On Twitter, I usually talk about Dungeons and Dragons and post my own stuff, and like a lot of Wheel of Time stuff, because Wheel of Time is awesome, and you should watch it and read the books.
Also truth.
That's it.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, thank you all for joining us for episode 110 of Just Some Guardians. When we do the show, we are live. Twitch.tv/JustSomeGuardians. Friday nights, I almost went into the old plug. Friday nights at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Stop on by, join the conversation. We read all the comments and make them part of the show. Come hang out. We love seeing people here. Go to the website, JustSomeGuardians.com. Embedded there is our Twitch. Embedded there is the YouTube if you want to just watch the video format of this at a later time. And also our audio feed is there. But we're also on any podcast catcher you have. I promise you. So you can listen to us at all those wonderful places. As for myself, I'm ELMMERFUDD. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all those places at ELMMERFUDD Games.
MDD.
And seriously, come stop by. Me and Russell are working our way through the Halo franchise. from the first one forward together. Like we've talked many a time on this show. We spent night after night in his basement 15 years ago, plowing through
jacking
these
each
games,
other off,
jacking each other off to the Halo theme song. You know,
How do you play the Halo games when you're chained naked to his wall, though?
it's
just around his neck.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like
point.
that
I need
scene
my hands
from Shaun
to-
of the Dead.
Oh god.
Oh god. Oh shit.
Good point. Russ.
Yeah.
I'm so tired. Take us out.
Join us next week on Just Some Guardians for mutual chaos and utter incompetency.
Hell yeah, that was a show. There we go. And I made sure not to put any logos from the book on this time, so hopefully everything stays and is happy.
I'm just shocked you didn't get any sort of correspondence going, shame on you.
I've heard a lot of people talking about that recently, though, that like stuff's happening and they just never hear why.
Yeah.
So, big shock. Twitch is messing up on something, but
Oh yeah, I'm
Amazon's
Twitch. I'm
subsidiary,
gonna take
whatever.
away your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everyone in the stream, we absolutely love you for hanging out. Even though, there's a few that just, didn't chat, and that's fine. We're glad you just hung out here to be here for the show and listen to it. The fact that you care enough to do that makes me happy. It's true. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Have a lovely night.